Hi guys, got a request here from Riley Elwood to do a tutorial on how to take the receiver out of one of these cheap toy cars. Now I think that might be a bit boring because it's just a matter of undoing 4 screws on the bottom. But to make it a bit more interesting, I shall take this toy car apart completely and use the receiver and the motors to drive a little airboat. So, bought this from the bargain store, only £4.99 from the 99p shop, and it's the car with obviously with the receiver in it and the transmitter. So everything's there. There'll be 2 electric motors in there as well, so I'll use the whole lot to make an airboat. Right, let's get in there first. There's the car. And there's the receiver. .27 megahertz. Forwards, backwards, left, right. I suppose we better just test it to make sure it works before we take it all apart. So that all works, so we'll take it apart. So we've got 1, 2, 3 screws holding these little plates in that attach it to the original packaging. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws that hold the chassis into the bodywork. And there we are. There's the receiver, on-off switch. electric motor, that one's the steering one, and an electric motor there, that one's the forwards and backwards. And then we got the antenna. If I just undo that one screw there, so that's the receiver out of the car. Just go through the colours of wires on it, not that they're necessarily the same on all receivers, but we've got a green and a blue wire going to the motor, the drive motor, a white and a yellow wire going to the steering motor, and a black and a red wire going down to the battery pack via the on-off switch. It's actually labelled F for forwards, B for backwards, B plus for battery, B minus for battery, and R and L for left and right, or right and left. It's also labelled ANT for antenna there. So, that's what we want. I want to get the motors out so I can use them for the boat. And what I think I'll do is get the battery pack out as well, so that I can use that in the boat. So we'll take the steering mechanism apart, because we're not going to be using that in this case. If you're going to do something else, you might want to save it. Nice gear on there that would be handy for all sorts of other projects, and that's the steering gear. It's just a little bit like that, that moves like that. But to say, we're not going to use it, so there's our motor. I'm going to have to desolder it, but I'm going to have to extend the wires anyway. And then at the other end we'll have the gearbox, which we're not going to use either. So nice little gearbox assembly. Seems a bit of a shame to take it apart. But we'll do it, simply because we're going to use everything from this car to make the boat. Some nice gears in there again. And there's that motor. So I will desolder these because I'll need to extend the wires anyway. And then finally I'm going to saw through here so that we can use the battery box on the boat. I'm heating up my soldering iron, but I'm actually thinking if I cut the wires in the middle somewhere, I can extend them and use some heat shrink to actually cover the joins. To disconnect the antenna as well. So there we are, there's our receiver, which I'll pop back on there in a minute. And we've got a battery box, so if I just saw through the end of the chassis here, we'll have a nice little self-contained unit with battery box, receiver and on-off switch all together. It'd be a good idea to save the other bits. Should have used a bigger bag. Right, a little bit of wood to saw onto. So we want to go along there. And be careful we don't damage the receiver while we're doing this. I could unsolder it to be on the safe side, but I'm not going to. I would suggest unsoldering it to be on the safe side, but I'm just going to go ahead and saw this and try and be careful. So there we are, that's our battery box. So we've still got the cover for that, so that'll be nice. On-off switch, and then the receiver can go back where it was, and that'll be perfectly safe there. Don't know if that was the right screw, but so there you can see, self-contained unit, and I need to extend those wires. And because I'm going to put it in a boat, I bought these clip lock storage containers in the bargain store. So they ought to be waterproof. So that's going to go in there. I'll drill some holes in it for the wires to go through and for the antenna to be mounted, and then we can seal it up, and that can sit straight on top of the boat and be waterproof in case we tip the boat over in the boating pond or bath or wherever we try it.